Hey folks, welcome back to Gaming Garbage, where we take a look at games, chat about the gaming news of the industry, and of course stream for fun. Today we're going to be going over kind of like a 2023 recap of what happened this year, and we had quite a bit happen in the industry, and I think it's important to go over just to kind of take a broad overview of what's happening, and then also predictions at the end of what Lion and I think are going to happen, and we hope you guys will participate too. We do have the stream up. And we also just want to, if you have comments too on YouTube, go ahead and leave them. You can always follow us over at Gaming Garbage 22 on YouTube, and then also you can also follow me over at Twitch at Don't Tread on the. This we do expect this to be a pretty long one, and if you want to save some time, unlike us, you can go ahead and put the play speed at 1.25 times. If you're watching us on YouTube. So yeah, kind of the theme for this year. Oh yeah, and just a quick little note too. Like, this is the first time we've done this, so it's just gonna be how it is, and we hope you enjoy it. But yeah, we wanted to get this. And I gotta really thank Lion for doing this with me. I think it's more fun with a couple of people chatting about it. So, yeah, the theme for this year is Divergent. I think it's pretty crazy. I can't remember a time when we've had so many good games come out, while at the same year, so many bad games coming out. And some of the DLCs were also really, really good this year. That kind of brought back some games from the a black hole they were in. And so some of the really good ones were just Baldur's Gate 3, Liza P, Phantom Liberty DLC, Tears of the Kingdom, Alan Wake, Hi-Fi Rush, Armored Core, and there were quite a few others too. I mean, we still had like Dead Space, and we're really enjoying Lords of the Fallen, though it is a pretty broken game, but they've been working on it pretty hard. But we've also had some really horrible ones too. So we had Forspoken, Lord of the Rings Gollum, The Day Before, Modern Warfare 3, Rise of Kong, Walking Dead Destinies, Redfall, Overwatch 2, all of that hero stuff basically that we were supposed to have in PvE mode. That was just too hard for them, I guess. So they just gave up on it. We also had Diablo 4, which I know it had like a 90 out of 100 score on Metacritic, but that's bullshit because the servers didn't work for basically the first week. So all the people that bought early access, bummer. You just burned your money, and then too, they're basically having us pay for things now when that stuff used to be free in Diablo 2 and Diablo 3, like stash space. It's just, yeah, you're gonna have to pay for it now. Isn't that great? And so, yeah, it's just really crazy to see that type of disparity. And we saw definitely some issues within studios and differences between devs and publishers. But, there were things, too, where just the cohesiveness and the vision and the passion was really in some of these projects, and they just did really, really well. That's why Baldur's Gate 3 won Game of the Year that we got to see at the Game Awards show. And but they just totally deserve it. It's such a wonderful game with so much playtime. It's not hindered by any live service or microtransaction trash. It's just a full wholesome game that you just pay, $60-$70 for, and it is coming to Xbox. I think it's official now with digital, and then if you want a physical copy, that'll be coming like probably after the 1st of January. But yeah, we just had some really good ones. So my favorites this year that I played were Dead Space Remake. That's definitely number one. And then, yeah, I really liked Lords of the Fallen. What about you, Lion?
Well, I'm huge into Souls games. So like Jedi Survivor, Liza P, Lords of the Fallen, I think all stuck out to me this year. Hogwarts Legacy was this year, wasn't it? That was February.
Yeah, that was February.
Kind of blurs together. I can't remember sometimes.
I
But
know, it's been a busy year.
but yeah, Hogwarts Legacy, that one was really good. Yeah, I think those four kind of stuck out to me this year.
Yeah, I liked Liza P too, just the art style and how well it ran. And the only thing I wish that it had was just co-op. I know we were
Oh, I
talking
know it.
about that
That would have
earlier.
made that would have been the one change I think could have made that game better was co-op.
Yeah. I still haven't made it past the first boss, folks. If you're wondering, because I've been playing everything else, and I'm still dying all the time. So, yeah, I'll eventually get past that. Most disappointing game. What do you think, Lion?
Um,
And maybe it doesn't have to be a game necessarily that you played, but
yeah.
like maybe one you followed.
Oh, I think Gollum. Like,
Yeah.
I think I
Oh.
was just like really hopeful that that would be really good.
Mm-hmm.
And at least for me, I didn't. I definitely wanted to take a step back and see it released before trying it out, which I'm glad I did. But I didn't. I didn't follow it super close. I guess I was just kind of like it was on the back burner, and I was hoping it would be good. And then it came out, and I didn't realize how broken it was. So I think that one was just a huge disappointment.
Yeah. You know, with Lord of the Rings in the name, you always expect it to be pretty good. And
Yeah.
I remember some of the older Lord of the Rings games, like Return of the King on PlayStation 2 was really good. Also, the Third Age,
Yep.
which was like a turn-based strategy. Just those
Yeah.
were fun, you know. And then we get Gollum, and it's like, what the frick is this? If you guys are interested, I do have a little review video that was just brutal to make it through that 45 minutes of that game, but it's so horrible. I mean, the graphics, the voice acting, and in fact, the game even had voice acting DLC that you could pay for.
Yeah.
So you could actually have like better quality stuff for like a character or two, which is ridiculous. Like, why would you have people pay
Well,
for that? And it wasn't cheap either.
I think that's what made it so disappointing for me was because I love Lord of the Rings, and I was just like silently hoping this would be good. Like I didn't want to spoil it for me. I didn't want to watch anything on it. I just was like I want it to release and see how well it comes out. Didn't do that great. But then on top of it, it's like a broken game that's not ready for release yet. You get this DLC that is like you get an emote pack for a single player game.
Hmm.
You have to pay for extra emotes for a single player game, or like you said, voice acting or authentic Elvish dialogue. It's like you gotta pay for that.
Yeah,
It's not gonna just
it
add that to a Lord of the Rings game. It's
it just sounds insane. like like what were
yeah,
you thinking? It's like, hey, and you want the battery for your car? You know, that'll cost extra before you drive it off the
yeah,
lot. It's just
pretty
kind of
much.
ridiculous. So let's see some of my most disappointing games.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, first was Atomic Heart. You guys
Oh
actually
yeah.
voted for that one. And I started playing that one, and like I really enjoyed the environment. I really enjoyed some of the lore we were getting into with this kind of alternative universe of Russia winning, right, the Cold War, and was really I really love that type of stuff, right? Same with like Wolfenstein, if like
Mhm.
Germany won, right? And and I really enjoy that kind of stuff. But like Atomic Heart, the combat for me was so clanky, like I'd get killed by like the easiest freaking robot in the game, and so yeah, there's no way I'm gonna be able to progress. Like I was literally stuck on this one room for I don't know, a few hours of just trying to make it past, and or even just trying to run past, and I thought, good grief, if it's this brutal for me, even on the easiest setting, folks, I still couldn't freaking get past there. I didn't have any guns or nothing, and that's what I'm used to. And I didn't have anyone either to come pick me up. I was missing my buddy, and so yeah, Atomic Heart was just really brutal. I had a hatchet, and that was it. And the game focused a lot on abilities and stuff, but I didn't have any of that yet, and so and the stealth I felt like was pretty broken in the game. Like no matter what I did or what I tried, I'd get discovered, and then now I'm in combat, and it's like I'm gonna freaking die. So that was really frustrating. That one still is on Game Pass, I think, for those of you that have it. But another game was actually Starfield, and
Yeah.
so I really was excited for this. I'm a super huge space guy, and but the things that were some things work really good in the game. Okay, I really like the shipbuilding. I thought that was great. I did like most of the characters visually and running. It was the smoothest and coolest game, and some of the areas were really neat. But there were some things too that just really held it back, and it just felt empty. It took a long time to run anywhere. It didn't sit well with people that Bethesda was like, no, we're not going to produce any vehicles or any other ways to kind of travel around the planet, which it sounds like they are actually going to do that now. They've gone back on that one. Quote, they're going to have faster ways to travel. We don't know if that's in space or on the planets or whatever. We'll get more details on that probably in 2024. But yeah, that was just kind of a bummer. Also, repeated buildings. I can't tell you how many times I saw the same mine or the
Yeah.
same lab. And I wanted a little more variety than that, just like what Fallout 4 had, or Oblivion, even, or Skyrim. Of course, there were some repeated assets, but a lot of assets were repeated in Starfield, and that was rough for me. I felt like I kept going through the same building. Another thing was just the caves were dead. I mean, that was a really big thing in Fallout and Skyrim, is just exploring the caves and the dungeons and stuff and the crypts and whatever, and really enjoyed that. And it's like, ooh, a cave in Starfield. And I literally walk in and there's nothing to interact with. There's nothing in there, and it takes 30 seconds to explore the whole thing. I was
Yeah.
like, man, really? You gotta be kidding me. That's so depressing. So I can see what they were going for, and I definitely think they're going to continue investing in the game, because this is going to be their baby basically until Elder Scrolls comes out. But we're even having some modders that are stepping away from their projects for Starfield, and just like it's too boring. I don't have any passion for what I'm doing, and I don't think they're going to be the only ones that made Skyrim together. I think it was they were
Yeah.
planning on making Starfield together, but yeah, that's just open source code now for someone else to pick up if they want it and to continue on with the project. And a third one, which most of the games have been horrible in the series lately, but I was hoping Modern Warfare 3 wouldn't suck that bad. But holy smokes, folks! Just when you think you can't get any lower, you get sucked into a freaking black hole. And I am excited to share it with you guys because I got a used copy. And so I can't wait to go through the zombies and just start raking on it because it's going to be in the campaign. Oh man, it's going to be so heart wrenching because I've always enjoyed Call of Duty. I've been playing since like before even Call of Duty existed with Medal of Honor. I started playing those in the 90s, and I just enjoy that type of environment of first-person shooters. So I've been with them a long time, but man, just to have stuff dragged through the mud like that on what Modern Warfare 3 is just freaking depressing. So, yeah. And some of these too are like, they're pretty big studios. They're pretty big IPs. And even like Redfall, it's like, what the frick is
Yeah.
going on? So yeah, we've had some really disappointing games. And people have definitely gotten burned, and I think that's going to play a factor into next year. Studios either better get their stuff together, or we're going to have more studios failing next year, and or maybe getting bought or whatever. Anything else to add on just kind of the divergent theme of good and bad games?
Yeah. I thought about Starfield when I was thinking about um, a list. And for me, it's like Starfield, it kind of met the expectations I had for it. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like walked away from it not really disappointed. It's like at its core, it's like it's a Bethesda RPG, and I think
Yeah.
at this point, like it's an ambitious Bethesda RPG, and they kind of like hammered home a lot of what they wanted to do, and then they forgot what made Bethesda RPGs like really good. So like
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm really hopeful for Elder Scrolls 6 because I think what Bethesda does best is they focus on like a singular world. and really fleshing that out. And I think that's what makes the Elder Scrolls so well and Fallout so good. Is it's just one big environment, but they're able to like detail that environment really well. And with Starfield, they're
Hmm.
trying to expand that across the universe, and they just you're kind of losing that Bethesda that touch you're looking for. Like I said,
Yeah.
the cave systems are just very lackluster, and it's like I'll run across the planet for like 1,200 meters to a point of interest. And I get there and it's just crystal formations and I can't do anything there. There's nothing to mine, there's nothing to do. And it's like, well, I just ran 1,200 meters
Yeah.
for
It's
absolutely
a
nothing.
hole in the ground.
So it's
It's just
like,
a waste of your time.
yeah, you're missing that element that you love about Bethesda. Um, it's just, but the core Bethesda RPG is there, and I think that's why it's like, I kind of enjoyed it for what it was.
Hmm. Yeah, there were definitely some things that were nice. I mean, they made certain aspects um, certainly better. I mean, they made the
Hmm.
stations, the modding stations more available, the crafting
Yeah,
stations more available, which was nice. You had a fair range of weaponry compared to other games like Fallout 4. They took a lot of things they learned from Skyrim and Fallout 4 and shoved it into the game, and even expanded on it with um, expanding the amount of powers you could have and building your own ship. And
yeah,
they had all of the outpost stuff in there, and so like they did a good job. But yeah, it felt kind of more like a checklist
yeah. Mhm.
of like things. Okay, we did this, check. We did this, check.
Yeah,
Instead of it feeling like a living game. And I really think procedural generation kind of screwed them on this one, um, because the tiles that they used to mesh together for the algorithm to create, they were just too big. And so,
yeah,
on average, in any normal RPG game, including Skyrim or The Witcher or whatever, is that you have about 45 seconds from here to there,
yeah,
and you have something exciting and something to engage with. Well, in Starfield, the average is about 4 minutes
yeah,
until you actually hit something good or even something interesting. And the fact that they weren't willing to implement something for faster travel, oh, you have the jetpack. It's like, look, that's not flipping fast enough, especially for somebody like me that's in his 30s, has a family and a job, and it's like, I don't have time to run across the freaking surface of the moon to visit 3 places and find out they were all junk.
Or it's
They're all
like,
boring.
it takes place in the future, but they chose to not give you a map, and they wanted you to rely on the environments to. It's like, no, that doesn't make sense at all.
No.
Like, I don't know. There's just some design decisions that, ultimately it's like, why would you go in that direction? But
Yeah, like we didn't have any type of a Pip Boy or anything, which I mean, some holographic Pip Boy would have been cool, right?
yeah,
Something. Um, and yeah, so some things they hit really well, and other things it's just like, man, what a bummer. So, and yeah, I'm a big space guy, and it's just like, oh, I want to like this game, I really do, and I do like it, I just don't love it like I was
yeah,
hoping
yep,
for.
yep.
Yeah. So also let's talk about layoffs a little bit. We had a lot of layoffs this year. We had about 10,000, and there's still more announcements coming out for next year too. And so in 2021, we basically didn't have any layoffs at all. Nothing to write home about. In 22, we had 1,000. Um, Maybe because some companies weren't doing as well, or their game didn't launch as good as it should have, or they were hoping for, or whatever. But yeah, to get to 10,000, I mean, um, that's 1,000% increase in layoffs, and so the industry is definitely feeling the pain. I think from a lack of stimulus money that people used to have. But two, they could also get away with more. And so I think we've seen a lot of these horrible games that got started, like what we listed, and they just people aren't willing to spend the money, and now you're burning customers. And so we had even some studios shut down. But here's some that had layoffs, hundreds or even in the thousands. Sony, Bungie, Microsoft, which Microsoft had three so far.
Hmm.
Google Stadia was shut down. We had Luminous Studios shut down. That made Forspoken. We had Gearbox, Embracer Group, EA, BioWare, which BioWare I think lost 25%, which was a lot, or maybe 20%. It was a bunch of them. Volition was also shut down. They made Saints Row reboot, and then we also had Activision Blizzard lay off people, mostly from the esports, and there's many, many more. Those are just ones that I wrote down. And so, yeah, just a ton of people getting laid off, and a lot of them from September through December. And what a horrible time. It's like, woohoo, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Mother Hubbard, you're fired. I mean, what a great thing that is, you know, what a brutal time. And a lot of these people could work remotely. And so there's that thing, too, of like maybe they now have to sell their house and uproot their whole family and move somewhere else, or find another job somewhere. Yeah, that is just brutal. That's just brutal. Anything to add, brother?
I don't think so.
Alrighty. Also, we had the Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal. So that was a really big one. That basically encompassed almost the entire year, for Pete's sakes, of 2023. And everything was looking like it was going good until Sony was like, "Hey, that's not good. We please don't take Call of Duty away." And so they got the FTC involved, and so they filed the suit, and then we got to enjoy 10 months of a lawsuit that wasn't necessary. But oh well. Some lawyers got paid some really good flipping money last year, or this year, and I'm sure they're excited about that. And so we got to learn a lot of things too about Microsoft's plans for the future. We got to see console refresh, the new controller, which is called the Universal Controller. I think that's coming out this year, I think. And then the refresh, I think, is in 25. We also got to see a lot of like upcoming titles. We got to see and hear a lot also from Sony on kind of how their business practices have been. There was a ton of emails. I mean, this was literally like 10 months, folks. I mean, this
Yeah.
was forever. And we had different groups around the world that basically needed to approve, or if they weren't sitting okay with it, then there needed to be some adjustments. So Phil Spencer was a busy, busy boy getting everything figured out and working through all of the courts, because you had China, you had Australia, you had the UK, you had South Africa, and then I forget there Turkey or Saudi Arabia was another one, and then the United States. I mean, there was like tons of these groups. Most of them were okay with it. Of course, not the UK or the United States, because the West needs some help. And but yeah, so they made the changes they needed. Was able to prove a bunch of stuff that they already said. So the deals, as it is today, Call of Duty will not be exclusive. But Sony didn't want to take the previous offer before everything got started,
Yeah.
and so everything else is going to be excluded now. And even though these IPs suck right now, like Overwatch and freaking Diablo and Call of Duty, call it trash, really. They got a lot of work cut out for them, but I mean, we're talking about tens of billions of dollars in sales, just between some of these IPs, and there'll be some pretty big names. So if they can do the work in the coming years and actually create something good, or change the formula, or actually get some good leadership in there, like thank goodness Bobby Kotick is gone from Activision Blizzard. Been driving that in the ground since 2020. Congratulations to him. And he wink wink retired, but we'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we've seen that's been exposed from Sony and Xbox, and both of them kind of know what each other's cards are now. And we also had a security breach in Insomniac that also was able to release some details specifically on kind of the roadmap for Sony a little bit just this month. And so, yeah, a lot of cards are kind of just laid out on the table, and I'm really curious what's going to happen. But yeah, what I think Microsoft knew that they were kind of losing their intellectual properties, or the ability to even have stuff on their console. So that's why they've been buying stuff like Bethesda and ZeniMax. I can't remember if they've bought anybody else. Maybe some smaller names. But yeah, now they have Activision Blizzard, and so Sony is now realizing it's like, well, frick, we just lost some IPs, and maybe they're not great right now, but doesn't mean they can't be in the future. One thing that is nice is we're not going to have timed exclusive stuff for PlayStation anymore. With Call of Duty, we can actually get everything when we want it, which will be nice. But yeah, back with Bobby Kotick. So he retired, right, folks? He basically ran Activision Blizzard and headed a lot of the stuff, made a lot of the big brass decisions since 2020. Well, he's out of retirement, and he's going to be working for Bungie now, and helping head up that ship. And so we already know Bungie's had a lot of issues. We know they've pushed the final shape back now until 2025. So sorry, bros. And, it's a dead horse, folks. You should just get off. Just save yourself the trouble. And, they did say that they want to honor the legacy. So yeah, Destiny is basically done after the final shape. There's not going to be much. They've also delayed Marathon until 2025. And then we also found out that Sony and Bungie have bought Anthem, all of the Anthem rights, all of the Anthem assets, everything. And so they're going to do Anthem Reloaded. We found that out literally just a few days ago. And so that's going to be interesting too. And so I think we've kind of we're in this hot war now between Microsoft and Sony of buying stuff. And so yeah, I think it could be an interesting couple of years to kind of see what happens with console refreshes, games that are coming out. And I think the competition is going to be a little more fierce than it has been in the past. I hope so, because usually that's good for consumers, because companies are figuring out, hey, there's only so much money, and so we want to get at least a piece of it. People don't have stimmies anymore, and we're kind of returning back to normal, like 2018, 2019. And so, yeah, I think it'll be pretty interesting. But Microsoft has their work cut out for them. I mean, they spent $69 billion on Activision Blizzard, and it's going to take some time to earn that back, especially after Overwatch 2 was a failure. Diablo 4 has been a hot mess, which they're going to resell some of the basic features that you should have in the game. And then Modern Warfare 3 is just an absolute joke. So they got their work cut out for them. Anything to add to that line?
No, not necessarily. Other than I think if Microsoft bought any smaller studios, that I'm unaware of that. Well, the only major ones I know would be Activision, like ZeniMax, and then prior to that, years ago, it would have been Mojang and Rare.
Oh yeah, Mojang. I forgot. And Rare. I forgot about that.
But this year or last year alone, any smaller studios, I'm not sure of either.
Yeah, I wasn't sure of myself. Yeah, that'll be changing the gaming industry, folks. That deal that happened. That'll be a big one. So let's talk about showcases. There's a bunch now. There's literally 12, and that doesn't include all of them. That's just kind of the bigger ones. Right. Most of them are really not worth watching, and they're also getting bigger now simply by the ads. Hey, use DoorDash, Taco Bell now. What about this big Asus freaking monitor that's 27 inches? Please buy it. So the ads have just kind of gotten ridiculous with some of these, especially with Jeff Keighley. Holy smokes, you think he's literally like a snake salesman holding out his massive 3/4 jacket saying, hey, you want to buy a watch? I mean, it's just... But especially the Game Awards was pretty freaking frustrating. It's like, hey, get the frick off the stage. We need to sell some more stuff. So
that was a huge slap in the face to developers.
It was. It was pretty frustrating. And what was insane is someone actually did the counts. So we had about 40 during Summer Game Fest, and we had 62 games announced during the Game Awards. So we almost had we basically had a 50% increase on the amount of trailers that we got to see, and most of them weren't even worth seeing, in my opinion. A lot of them were a lot of CGI, kind of telling the story, even though the story wasn't necessarily clear for a lot of them. We got to have a lot of people, heads of studios and publishers or projects coming on stage, getting to talk about stuff for literally minutes, while people that got their award basically got 30 to 60 seconds, and yeah, how pitiful, disrespectful to not just the individuals on the stage, but also the people that didn't even get to go up there, because most of the awards they just like, okay, and these ones are blah blah blah, and another third of them were during the pregame show. So yeah, how frustrating. I really hope he changes that for this year, and has a better show, because he's gotten so much flack for that. He's gotten to have read it by now, I would hope. Also, yeah, there were just a ton of publishers. I mean, we had Sony, we had Xbox, we had EA, we had Ubisoft, we had Bandai Namco, Sega, freaking, yeah, we had a bunch. And I'll be here this coming year, watching most of them for you and shoving it all on the channel, just like I did in 2023. I'm not necessarily looking forward to that, but hey, I got some night shifts, and I'll be able to shove it all in there.
Oh,
The
you're
most successful.
excited.
Oh boy, no, yeah. Please save me. And unless you want to do some, hey, that'd be great. The most successful ones seem to be Xbox. Xbox's showcase. That's not just because I own one, folks. But my Xbox's showcase seemed to be really good. They showed a lot of trailers. They had an entire 40-minute segment just for Starfield, which I think is partly why Starfield kind of didn't meet expectations for people, because they sold it so freaking good. I mean, it's like, freaking Starfield, I want it right now. I literally don't even want to wait. Get my hands on it. 100. I mean, they had 2 million sales just on Steam for the $100 early access edition. Think of that. Like, that is a ton of flipping money. And then everybody's like, what the frick is this? This is garbage. So anyway, and I think that's really going to hurt Bethesda. And some people, I've even seen in the comments, like, some people have kind of lost faith in Bethesda a little bit. They also had Redfall, which they were technically overseeing. Maybe they were more like playing video games while Arcane was making Redfall, but like that didn't go over very well either. Even just on the Xbox store, there were tens of thousands of people that bought, or thousands of people that rated the $100 early access thing and were just like, this is awful. The Bite Back edition, I think it was. COVID might as well be. It was just horrible. If you're interested, we got a little playthrough on that too, of just running around, killing maybe 8 zombies vampires through the whole thing, and telling
Probably
people
only
we
saw
were the
8
government.
vampires in the whole thing.
Yeah, and telling people that we were the government and we were here to help. We loved that. It was pretty fun. And but yeah, the Xbox showcase was pretty good, and then also the Game Fest showcase was pretty good. Even with all the ads, we got to see a lot of actual gameplay footage for a lot of stuff, and even got to see some new things too. The worst ones, yeah, Ubisoft, which was just hilarious. I mean, even the head of Ubisoft couldn't like get the names of games right, which is pretty hilarious. And I know English is not his first language, but I couldn't help but laugh. And then the crowd, I remember like X Defiant, which we haven't heard a freaking word on, by the way, folks. X Defiant guy came up there and was like, woohoo, trying to get people pumped and whatever. And the crowd is like freaking silent. And he got one guy in the back is like, woo! It's just so funny. Yeah, it's just so, it was horrible. It's hilarious to watch, folks, if you got free time. And the other one that was pretty bad was, of course, the Game Awards, which we already talked about. Something that was frustrating with the game was the showcases, was just how often we got to see Mirage. Oh, God. I mean, it was like 5 different showcases. It's like Assassin's Creed Mirage. It's amazing. Please buy it today. 50
Well, and then it
bucks.
was
I mean,
advertised all over the
ah,
Xbox home menu, and it was pushed
yeah.
everywhere.
Freaking YouTube, every video, dude, without fail. It didn't matter if it was gaming related or not. It was on there. Even the economic channels that I was watching and stuff, and even just listening to music of whatever. Assassin's Creed, buy now. I mean, God, man, it was horrible. And even with that game being delayed a couple of times, it still really didn't come out that good. So I'm glad I bought Lords of the Fallen instead, because I've had so much more fun with that than my stealth mechanics and combat not working in Mirage. And then that was DLC too. Yeah, we won't even get into that, but and so was Modern Warfare 3. But yeah, just what a bummer. Uh, Next year, I think in 2024, we're really gonna want to take a look at Summer Game Fest, and I think a lot of stuff that we saw during the Game Awards, a lot more is going to be flushed out in Summer Game Fest. So really make sure you watch that one, folks. I think that'll be a good one. And then also, what's going on between Sony and Xbox? Yeah, just the war that they're in right now. I think Microsoft is ready to play, and they're showing that by buying Activision Blizzard and going through that whole court process. And Sony now is just like, well, game on, baby. I mean, yeah, and I think the competition is going to be good, like I said. But yeah, it is going to be, I think, pretty fierce coming in the next several years. Anything else to add on showcases?
Other than I think they just don't matter anymore. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
that seems like a pretty broad response, but like, how many did you say we had this year?
we had like 12.
12 of them? I probably watched like
Yeah,
3 of them all the way through,
it's
and I skipped
crazy.
over the others. Like, I think I just kind of want to go
I wish I
back to
had.
like, you know, I remember the days when like gaming publishers um like when I say publishers, like news publishers like IGN or GameSpot would get like exclusive like trailers or something.
Hmm.
I just want to see trailers get released. I don't need a
Yeah,
showcase anymore. I just felt like after a couple showcases this year, it just felt pointless. And like you said, littered with advertisements and celebrity endorsements and whatever the case was. And it's like this, it doesn't seem like it's about gaming anymore.
freaking music. Music sessions on the stage about video games. I
Yeah,
guess. Yeah, a lot of it just seems like a waste of time. And I'll mention too, like I really miss the fact that we don't have E3 anymore.
yeah,
So we got that official statement from E3 a couple weeks ago saying that yeah, it's officially done. And E3 was a great place of just 5 or 6 days looking at games, talking to publishers, seeing what was going on. I remember
yeah,
people hanging out there with a mic and camera and just be, hey, we're going to talk to them. And we got to hear about their games. We got to see passion projects. We also got to see some really cool reveals too, like with when Kratos came back in a new God of War game for the
yeah.
first time. It was just, we got to see little Atreus playing with some dolls in the dirt. It's just like, oh, what's this? And boy, I was just like, frick yeah! I mean, everybody was so excited. And we don't kind of have trailers like that even anymore that are super amazing and shocking and bringing stuff to light like that. They're just kind of like, yeah, they don't, like, the creativity of creating excitement is just kind of gone. And now that we have so many showcases, I just want to gouge my eyes out because oh my gosh, like here we go, the next freaking thing, buy this at Wendy's and get a Frosty for free. It's just it's just very annoying.
But I guess like the other thing too that I think of when I'm reminded of these showcases that we've gotten a lot of trailers, like cinematic trailers for games that aren't even coming out for like 2, 3, 4 years. It's like
Yeah,
Wolverine was announced a couple years ago, and same with Elder Scrolls 6, and they both had teaser trailers, but those aren't coming out for a couple years. And what Monster Hunter Wilds was at the Game Awards, but that one's not coming out until 2025, and same with GTA 6. It's like
yeah,
I don't know, that too in a way, it's mediocre, it's not that important, but it bugs me. Where it's like
yeah.
I don't know.
And like a lot of the stuff on the Game Awards, they were just CGI trailers.
Yeah.
There's no gameplay really involved. And then too, we've had a lot of projects where it's just like, whew, like we've heard really nothing about, like Flintlock.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's
That.
made by the same people that made this game that you see on the screen, folks. Ashen, except
Yeah.
Flintlock is a whole new tier of like quality and resolution and gameplay mechanics. I mean, I'm actually excited for that one, but we're not hearing a flipping
See.
word.
Yeah, that's another one where that one was announced years ago, and it's like they're announcing stuff that isn't relevant for a long time. And I just wish
No.
like the stuff that needed to be that needs to be brought to the surface isn't. It's stuff that's still buried, 8 feet underground,
Yeah.
and we're not gonna see it for a while.
I mean, when we had E3, the bulk of the show was to look at what's coming out within the next 12 months until the next E3, right? And sometimes there would be stuff, hey, also, this game's coming out, it's going to be exciting, but there'll be more on that next year. And they were just little snippets of things from the people at Ubisoft or EA or whatever. But yeah, that's a wonderful point. It's just like, hey, this is coming out in 2028. Hope to see you
Yeah.
there. It's just way out in the future. There's nothing to get excited about. Tons can change by then, or even be even delayed more. Like Skull and Bones, holy smoke, folks! I mean, that's been delayed 7 times in a row. I I won't be picking it up unless I find a used copy, which that's just getting more and more difficult after COVID, because so much is digital now.
See, I
But
guess
yeah,
the
this
one that I'm
showcases are just
reminded
getting
of
frustrating.
is, and like a big problem I think I have with it is the fact that it's announced so early and then you don't hear anything and then there's a bunch of delays and it's like you're creating this giant expectation for something that may never come out. One game that I was like I'm crazy excited about, and I know you were excited about it at some point too, but it's like Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Oh yeah, yep.
You probably forgot about it. Like that game,
Yeah, it's been a long time.
it's been in limbo for so long, and I don't even know if it's still in development.
It's officially canceled now.
Is it canceled now?
There
I didn't
was,
hear that.
yeah, there was one of my game. Well, you missed a gaming news video, and there's one of my gaming news things that I do weekly where I talked about that a little bit in there. But yeah, it's officially done. Like the main project manager is no longer a part. Um, yeah, it looks like it's just officially dead now.
Yeah, I
But
don't
yeah,
know.
that game's the longest development cycle ever of 15 years. They still own the IP. It's not sold. So, yeah, they could bring it back. But, like, we had some pretty good alpha gameplay that showed, like, pretty big open worlds and flight and stuff. And then it's just like, wah, nothing. So, which sucks. And I think with all of these layoffs and all of these companies seeing loss in revenue and stuff, like Bungie lost 45% this year, woo, making a great game, and I also saw that Modern Warfare 3 lost 38% in sales compared to the last Modern Warfare they made. So there's a lot of money being lost right now, and so I don't think we're done with layoffs, but we'll see more companies just like Ubisoft say, hey, we're going to cut back and we're going to X some of these projects because we just want to focus on what's going to sell. And so that's why we're getting 7 Assassin's Creed games. Yay! 7, folks. Doing the same thing over and over again. One of them, I guess, is going to be free to play. Rumored. So that'll be interesting. And it's
You
like
know
a
what that
co-op
means, though.
experience. But hey, pay to win. That's what it
So
means,
it's a
folks.
microtransaction crap out of it.
Micro NFTs, nano NFTs, actually. It'll be great. $50 for your leg armor, something like that. It'll be wonderful. Hey, I'll cover it here on the channel. I can't wait. We should probably move on. The
Yes,
next
yes.
thing I wanted to talk about is this is fun though. I'm enjoying it. The Unity failure. So if you
Um,
guys didn't hear or don't really remember, Unity was like, "Hey, we're basically gonna have developers and publishers pay for every copy that they sell for a game that's used Unity." And it wasn't just the current version; it was like every version of Unity that's that has ever been made. Everything was going to be like retroactive. They still had some tiers, where you'd have to meet a certain sale goal. But they can track all this, and so they'd be like, "Oh, look at that! You owe us some money." Um, and the backlash was wonderful because yeah, there's no way you can just be selling a product, producing a service, and then telling them after the fact, "Oh yeah, you just owe me more money because I'm greedy." That's there's definitely stipulations and laws there that I think should be in place, and they probably are. There were probably some lawsuits coming, but Unity quickly changed their mind. But I think the damage has already been done. There's already been quite a few projects that are like, yep, from here on out, no longer using Unity. So this is great free publicity and marketing for Unreal Engine and other smaller engines out there. And maybe even some of the studios that have held their engine close to themselves, maybe they'll actually start to open it up to third parties. Hey, you want to use Snowdrop? Go ahead. Because Unity is digging their hole. And that is going to be, I think, one of the deepest graves ever. Because maybe what some of you folks don't know is that with these engines, they're complex enough you actually go to school and you actually take classes and stuff. And there's tuition and there's books and whatever. And some of these are really, really complex and big, and they're updated every year with other stuff, right? So you got to keep up on that. Well, if you have college students that don't want to now learn Unity because all of these publishers are like, no, we're not going to be using that. Especially think of all of the indie developers that now don't want to take the risk. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that Unity won't try something else in the future, and I think they're thinking about that too. But like, if you're a college student and you want to create games, it's like, well, maybe I would rather want to learn Unreal Engine instead of Unity now. Or maybe I would want to change partway through my major, right? To learn something that's going to have more job security. And so I think long term, this is really going to hurt Unity, not just in the next few years, but probably the next decade, even maybe to the point where they die off, or just get sold to somebody else, which would be really interesting. Did you have anything to add on Unity?
I don't follow that end of the industry like you do.
Perfect. I wish I didn't either. Next is the worst Call of Duty in history. Now, Call of Duty has been around for quite some time, since like the early 2000s. The first one we got was, of course, just Call of Duty, right? And then we had Call of Duty 2, Call of Duty 2, Big Red 1, I think it was. And then we also had Call of Duty 3, and then like Call of Duty World at War. Woo! Freaking amazing. 2008, folks. That one is literally my favorite. I still play it today. I played it with Shepard. If you guys want to fiddle through the channel and look through the playlist, we did the whole playlist on Veteran, and some curse words were said. And but we really enjoyed doing that one. But yeah, Call of Duty has been a wonderful franchise. A lot of us have played probably at least half of the games or so. But yeah, Modern Warfare 3 was just such a mess. And I won't go into it too much, but again, to reiterate, that sales were down 38% from last year with Modern Warfare 2. They've been rebooting this series, and it really hasn't gone over too well. I like some missions in Modern Warfare 1 reboot and Modern Warfare 2 reboot, but Modern Warfare 3, it's just a mess of cobbled stuff shoved together. Like, the zombies is now just open world zombies, where they use an old Warzone map called Al Mazrah, which I actually enjoyed that map on Warzone, and now it's just full of zombies. So that's fun. It's like an extraction shooter. This too was originally supposed to be DLC. That's what we heard through the rumor stuff, and then Sledgehammer Games was supposed to take this over. They only had 16 months. They did have 8 other studios, but that really didn't seem to help them very much, because this got a 1.7 out of 10. Ooh. I mean, that is that's pretty brutal and painful. And then you can tell through the development, at least I've been able to tell with the Uzbekistan map, is for Warzone, is that's where a lot of the time and effort went, was the Warzone map. We also had 2 types of campaigns. So we actually had story-driven missions, right, where you kind of work through a mission, and ooh, that was fun. And the other aspect was kind of these open world environments where you had to complete some objectives or fetch quests and stuff, and the AIs were just flipping stupid. The spawn points for AIs too were very frustrating, so they'd even spawn behind you if you're in a fully enclosed area with only one way in, one way out, and they still spawn behind you and just rip your butt open, and hey, you got to do it all over. How great is that? Um, and then also the multiplayer features. So it was nice to have some of those, maybe like red dots on the map when you fired. It's kind of nice to have that with the old like Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3. We enjoyed that because it actually makes silencers worth it at that point. But none of these features needed to be in a brand new game. They could have literally patched it in, and they didn't do that. And then the biggest thing that we got with multiplayer was the remaster maps. But again, it's like you could have just made that a bundle and just sold it to people, and people would have bought it, which would have been great. And so I do have it. I am going to go through it pretty soon, and I'm going to try to play as much of it as I can. So don't miss that stream because I'm going to go insane by myself and just be so frustrated. But yeah, we're going to dig into it as much as we can. Probably don't have anything to add for that one.
I don't.
One last thing is it's a Sledgehammer game, and they're definitely getting a reputation now is that they can't make a Call of Duty game. So Vanguard was really bad. I will be playing that one too. We're going through like a Sledgehammer series, but they made Advanced Warfare back in 14, which was pretty good. They started with Modern Warfare 3, the original, under, I think it was Infinity Ward. They helped with that project. But Advanced Warfare wasn't as liked compared to other ones in the series because it's we got exosuits and it's jumpy, and like some of us didn't really like that. The newer kids did, so congratulations for being young. But a lot of us older folks didn't really like that because we didn't think that way about warfare, right? You got a gun, you got a sight, there's a guy, you shoot him. Like that is as simple as it gets, and we enjoyed doing that and cursing at the screen every time we got shot by somebody else. But adding the exosuits and all of this extra fancy stuff is just like, it's just taken away from the tactics a little bit, and it's getting a little overdone. And the other thing too is like they did World War II, which was going back to the roots of, hey, we want a World War II game, so they made that one, and that one was fairly good, but again, it wasn't great. And then Vanguard was worse, and then Infinite Warfare 3, or excuse me, Modern Warfare 3 is worse. I'm trying not to skip ahead into the next decade, folks. I'm really trying to stay in this one. But life's going so quick in my life, it's crazy. But yeah, Modern Warfare 3 I mean, I hope that it doesn't get worse from here, from anybody. Like, we have literally blown through the barrel and are digging to China now with just the quality of this game. And I'm going to show that when I do my review. Next, the cost of microtransactions. So, we had COVID, we had the lockdowns, and then, hey, we're going to stimmy money everywhere to everybody, basically in every country. Like, we had synchronized lockdowns. And so people had all this money. Some people couldn't go back to work, or it could be on extended forms of unemployment or stay home or whatever under new programs that the governments had. And so guess what? A lot of us dudes are going to play video games, folks. And so we paid for a bunch of games, and this kind of set like a new price range for microtransactions where it wasn't just $5 or $10 anymore. It's like, hey, we can get up to like $30 and people are paying for it because they got all this extra money. I mean, that's what we do, right? We don't know how to save money or like plan for retirement. We're just like, woo, I got $40. I'm going to blow it on that skin because it looks so cool. And people are going to appreciate while they're throwing their controller at the TV that, I killed them in super, gold mask, whatever. And it's just stupid, folks, just to let you know if you don't know that already. But yeah, microtransactions have just gone absolutely insane. Even to the point where some of you microtrans boys are just super into making your closet bigger. And you can only wear one thing at a time. I hope you guys know that. But it's just insane, like the pricing. So like Mortal Kombat 1 now has fatalities that you can pay $10 for. Like, that's crazy. $10 for a fatality? And then we're talking about like there's multiple fatalities that you can pay for, so the price automatically goes up on the content. Mortal Kombat was kind of one of the last holdouts, but good golly, let's keep going. Um, Also, if you're looking at some of the stuff for Overwatch 2, some of those are like, 15, $20 for some of the bundles and stuff. Call of Duty, again, we got bundles that are like $20 when you do the currency exchange with COD points. Diablo 4. Guess what? You can get armor for your character, but you can't see it because your character is literally 2 inches on the screen of your 80-inch TV, and you're not going to be able to see any of that. It's the same with like buying charms and buying like I couldn't believe you had freaking bracelet charm stuff for your character in Overwatch 2. What the frick? Like, nobody is gonna freaking see that when bullets are flying and stuff's blowing up everywhere, and you're moving 5 miles an hour around the corner. Nobody's gonna see any of that. It's same with like your stupid little charm hanging off of your gun in Call of Duty. Holy frick, folks! Like, what do you think people are gonna be looking at? They're gonna be looking at your body and where your head is, so they can shoot it off. Now they're not gonna be looking at your stupid little pony boy whatever chain hanging off of your gun. I mean, I'm serious, folks. It's just getting crazy. We also had NBA 2K24. I mean, on top of buying the jerseys, buying the hat while you're off the court, which you can't walk around outside the court anyway. The bikes, the freaking Gatorade you can hold for your character. You have your character hold for a picture, because you won the game. Congratulations, you won a video game. And then on top of that, they added a season pass. Are you out of your mind? The Super Black Mamba edition was $150, and then they added a freaking season pass on top of that. Are you crazy? That's $180. Who the frick is gonna pay? Somebody did. I'm so sorry for you, but who is gonna pay $180 for a game? Madden's another one. Woohoo! Got a card and got this type of jersey and got. I mean, even Total War Warhammer or whatever. Number 3, it was like $40 to buy, or $30 to buy enough. Oh, I think it was Warhammer Blood Bowl 3 or 4, the one that came out.
Blood
and
Bowl 3.
Again, it was like you can spend, $25, $30 just to change the color of your team.
Yeah.
Like, it's just getting crazy. We also had the creation of the new early access where, hey, you get it 3 days early. Really, folks? You're going to be... I mean, even now with the latest DLC that's coming out for Diablo 4, it's $10 a day to play 3 days early. I thought Starfield was bad with $6 a day, $30 for 5 days. That's $6. That's a Starbucks coffee. You can't go without your coffee. And then we get this with Diablo 4 where it's like, holy smokes, it's $10 a day. I mean, where does it stop? In 10 months are we going to have like, ooh, it's $100 a day. Get it now because you get a free stupid skin to shove on your horse that you're not going to be able to see. It's just insane, folks. I mean, think about what you guys are paying for. I mean, you can save for an experience. You can take your girl out on a date or your boy out on a date, whatever. You can actually fix your car or go buy one. Good gall. I mean, I had friends that spent thousands or tens of thousands of dollars on Destiny 2 just to find out they totally killed the game. And it's just like, well, great. It's just spent $8,000 over the last 5 years for what? I got a whole bunch of stuff in my digital closet I can't use now. You think that stuff's going to port over to Marathon? No. You think that's going to go over to some other game or even become an NFT in the future? No. You're just going to blow another however tens or hundreds or even thousands of dollars on the next game that comes out, like Modern Warfare 3, when it's just absolutely trash. I mean, folks, there's got to be a point where you say no to this stuff. Because they're not creating games anymore. They're just creating a shopping session every year through a game. That's literally what they're doing. So if you couldn't tell, I really hate microtransactions, and that's how I really feel about it. But we did have some really good games too. We ended up having Dead Space, Hogwarts Legacy, Starfield even, Phantom Liberty, Tears of the Kingdom, Baldur's Gate 3, Armored Core. I mean, all of these games were a lot more favored and rated a lot higher than any pretty much live service game that exists out there because it didn't have live service. It's like, look, here's a story, here's characters, here's experiences, go play. And that's the game. And that's what we enjoyed. That's what a lot of us grew up with. You know, even the old Call of Duties are more fun than a lot of stuff they're making today. And at some point, folks, you know, I'm here on the channel to help bring the garbage forward so you can see it, right? And also see some wonderful, beautiful stuff that we should be spending money on. But for Pete's sakes, folks, it's at some point, like, if we're even going to have a gaming industry left in 20 years for when my kids get old enough to be out on their own and start playing video games, basically, right? Or investing in it as a hobby, we need to stop buying microtransaction stuff. And it every once in a while is fine, but they shouldn't make the bulk of their money off of microtransactions. Like Diablo Immortal, the mobile game. In 7 months, they made over $500 million on stupid horse armor and freaking armor sets for your character that you can't even see on the screen because he's 2 inches tall. I mean, think about this, folks. It's insane. It's insane. Anything to add?
No,
That's going to be a good one. I'm
that's a
going to
great
enjoy
one.
re-listening to that.
Absolutely. Um, I was about ready to ask you need a nap or something. Um,
Pretty close. We're almost done, folks, I hope.
no, I think just what's important to take away from that is just pay attention to what, like, try to figure out what you're willing to invest in. Like, what you think is worth investing in. Like I guess for me and you, um, I think of like Lords of the Fallen, where they said that they're dedicated to release free DLC, free updates to add content to the game. I think of Hogwarts Legacy, where it's like that they've added so many updates to that game, and some of them bring like little bits of content to it. They're not doing any big expansions, but a little bit of content, but it's all free to you, and there's no microtransactions behind anything. You're not buying your different shade of color to like a wizard's robe or something. It's like everything that's there is given to you for free because you bought the game.
Yeah.
Well, quote unquote free, but you still bought the game, but you bought everything for the same one price that they sold it for. But it's like, yeah, when you start resorting to like, I think even Overwatch 2 had like $40 skin bundles.
DLCs.
And it's like, it's just how much money are you willing to pour into something only to feel cheated on later, I guess.
Yeah, even the last DLC with Diablo 4, they had a survey asking if people would be okay to have $100 DLCs.
Yeah, no.
I mean, think of that, folks. That's flipping nuts.
Well, and I too think of Destiny 2, where it's like, how much money are you willing to pour into it when they're only now, like, was it this year or did they start last year, where they started to take away content that they previously added? Like, you paid $40 for these expansions, but now they're no longer available. Yeah, it's like, well, it's like, are you, after hearing about that or after experiencing that, are you willing to invest in these companies or invest in these types of games anymore?
Yeah. I mean, 70% of the content from Destiny 2 is gone that people paid for. And I mean, are we willing to pay now for whatever Marathon is going to shove out there? No. I'm not. I'm going to watch the field burn, baby. And I'm going to be sitting there in my lawn chair with a beer. A root beer. And and my little squirt gun, just watching it. Just, woo! Just freaking light it up, baby. I mean, some of the industry needs to burn. To just get back to Tears of the Kingdom of God of War and Ratchet and Clank and Tomb Raider and Metal Gear Solid and Need for Speed and Test Drive and what Gran Turismo used to be. I mean, and Ace Combat. I mean, we want to get back to those type of games that we grew up with, folks.
Baldur's Gate 3,
Not the charm on your
adding
bracelet.
adding new quest lines and new NPCs and new everything, all completely free through updates. It's like these are the
Yeah.
companies that I want to invest in. I want to spend my money on these games.
And that's what it all used to be. Like, think of Battlefield.
Yeah.
Think of all of the DLC maps you used to get for Call of Duty. And now it's like, you get a new bundle you can pay for. Buy now. 4 easy payments of $9.99. Yeah, it's just insane. I think it's crazy. So next we got, well, I'll just say real quick, if you guys are looking for more tech, whether it's hard drives or headsets or controllers or even consoles or other games, the best deals right now are right now. It's not Black Friday. It wasn't Cyber Monday. Literally, the best deals are today. So make sure you go out and look at stuff before the end of the year. There might be a little bit with the new year coming, but yeah, we're having some crazy good deals on some stuff. And so I suggest you just take a look. Whatever you play on, yeah, just have a look out there. And game services too. I saw there's even some sales right now for like Game Pass, which we didn't really have any during Black Friday. So yeah, just take a look out there. You might find something. Lastly is predictions for 2024. So I think we're going to have more successful story games and more of a focus on story games than actual live service. And I think live service is really going to have trouble or have an issue with trying to get enough revenue in to pay for things or to pay for its success. I think since Fortnite, we've had that run of, hey, live service is making money. It's paying for stuff, you know. And I think it's... let's see. Hold on. My son's making a bunch of noise. I'll be right back. Alrighty, I'm back. Sorry about that. Wanted to make sure my son wasn't punching a hole through the wall. This is getting pretty loud. So yeah, I think we'll just have
Keep going, I'll be right
more
back.
story-driven. Alrighty, more story-driven games and less successful live service. And we have the issue too of just live service creating a lot of there's just kind of too many of them. And we saw in February this year where a lot of actual live service games were shut down or are no longer supported, like the multiverse. That barely even got started. We also saw some others too that got shut down. And so yeah, I think the space is just too broad. There's too many options and not enough players or not enough money to really keep them all going. And if we have more publishers and studios that are trying to keep live services going or even add new ones, at some point, they're like even X-Defiant, which we haven't heard a single thing on from Ubisoft. We don't even know if it's canceled yet, at least from what I've read. But like eventually, the saturation is just too high. And we even saw like the finals just came out. That's another live service kind of battle royale game. It is fun, okay, for what it is, but it doesn't really provide anything new. It's just a little more colorful, a little more animated. And you got 3 teams instead of just 2, which I think that's kind of a fun dynamic. But it's not really that much different from the principles of like Warzone, right? You got multiple teams, they're all fighting for each other to win and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, at some point, I think we're going to see a continued focus, just like this year, on story-driven games. Something else too, well, let's see, I'll get back to that. I think this year for predictions is that we're um. Alrighty, bud. Thanks. Lion may not be back. He's dealing with something on his end, so we'll try to wrap this up, folks. Next, yeah, I think with again Sony and Xbox, I think we're gonna see a hot war for a while. So I am kind of excited to see what'll happen. I think it'll be better for us consumers in gaming services, exclusives, buying IPs and studios. And yeah, I just want to reiterate that I think it's really kind of kicked off at this point, and I think it's going to be fierce. We'll really have to see. I think too we're going to see more layoffs from studios and companies. I think we're also going to see mergers too. I think that's really a possibility because even some of the bigger ones like Ubisoft, when you look at their balance sheets, they're not really that healthy. And if they are not successful with the games that they're putting out and they're not seeing the sales that they need, eventually you just can't support yourself as a business anymore. And even like Microsoft, they have their work cut out for them for Activision Blizzard. The last 3 games they've put out, Call of Duty, Diablo 4, and Overwatch 2, they really haven't done that well. Some of the numbers are still really good. Like the sales for Call of Duty were still pretty high, but a 38% drop, that's a lot of revenue that's missing. And a lot of people too have also quit Diablo 4. It's barely even looked at for Twitch anymore. There's just not as much invested in it, and Overwatch is basically dead. There's probably some people that still play it, but not many. And so yeah, I think Xbox has their work cut out for them. I think something too this year is that we'll see a rise of subscription services. So again, we've seen Game Pass, PlayStation Plus, those have already been around. We also saw the creation of Grand Theft Auto Online, which I think was Grand Theft Auto Plus, and some people buy this to get extra money and access to certain things or whatever. But yeah, we also still have Season Pass and Battle Passes, and we have increased pricing for DLCs, and we have expansions of early access of a few extra days. And that in itself is kind of like a short subscription service. And so I think we're going to see more. And I think as some companies really kind of feel the pinch on revenue, I think they're going to start to focus on getting whatever money they can out of us consumers. So I just want us to be careful. You know, like Lion said, we really want to kind of think of it as an investment because we don't want to have an addiction, right? We all know that addictions are horrible and they're not healthy for us, especially financially too. And mentally they're not healthy. But yeah, we really want to have a good setup for investing in our hobbies, because to go broke means, well, we don't have any more, and we go into debt for it, and we can really screw up our lives. I think a great example of this is Boogie. If you haven't seen a documentary of where he's at financially, dude, it's incredible how screwed he is. And he just had a chat with Mr. Hammer, Caleb Hammer, I think, on his channel, Financial Audit, to talk about where he is financially as a streamer and just how he doesn't have self-control and doesn't have discipline with his money, and he's just broke. And like, hobbies can be fun, and even getting into things to make some money can be fun, but you got to make sure that your life is sustainable. And spending thousands on Destiny or spending thousands somewhere else, or just willy-nilly buying everything and finding out it was trash. I mean, this is when research becomes important, folks. And more than anything, like, I get frustrated with microtransactions and the subscription services, is that they're really not providing value for you in the long term. It's more of an emotional buy, and that's really not the way forward to financially progress or even be stable in life. Something to don't forget to at least take a look at Summer Game Fest this year, and then yeah, whatever Sony and Xbox are doing because of their hot war. And lastly, I want to go over what I'm most excited for this year, and I am excited for Star Wars Outlaws. This is an Ubisoft game, but we got a pretty good gameplay trailer, and I just want a good space game. I was really hoping Starfield would be that game for me, and it just didn't scratch that itch like I was hoping for, and so I really want that to be a good one. And then I'm also excited for the Elden Ring DLC. I know we haven't heard very much about this. I played a ton of Elden Ring. So did Lion. We that's kind of how we started the channel, was playing together with Elden Ring. And it's been 2 years so far in the making, almost. But I really think on the 2 year anniversary in February, I think we're going to get the Elden Ring DLC. And now there's been some rumors about that. I called that a few months ago. Um, but I'm really excited for Elden Ring, and this isn't just supposed to be DLC. This is supposed to be like an expansion, so like a whole new area maybe, and other characters, and we'll have to see exactly what comes out. But I'm very, 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 very excited for that one. So, and what are you guys excited for? Honestly, leave a comment down below. Let us know, and to give us some critiques. I think that's about it for the gaming recap of 2023. What did you guys think? Did we do a good job? Did we cover some of the big stuff? What were some things that we missed? Go ahead and let us know. We'd love to hear from you. And I'm really curious what you guys think. And any critiques, too. We would love to see that. We do the best that we can. This is our first time. But thanks for hanging with us. And you can always follow me again at YouTube at GamingGarbage22. I got a lot of different stuff there. We're taking a look at a long-term thing of Game Pass. We got some campaigns in there. Lion and I are working through Lords of the Fallen. Shepard and I are going to be working through some more Call of Duty stuff when our time matches up, which has been difficult. Also got some other friends we do Warzone. Oh, I'm planning to do some more of that. And then I also have gaming news, and we also have State of Gaming, where we talk about kind of the state in which gaming is in, and something that's kind of important to look at for the industry, good or bad. So there's a lot there. Make sure you click through the playlist a little bit. And then, if you want to find me on Twitch, that's at Don't Tread on the. And if you find one, either Twitch or YouTube, I got a link for the other one right there for you, so you can find it pretty easy. If we entertained you today, go ahead and give us a like and sub and all that good stuff. But also share. I really want this channel to get out there, because this isn't just a hobby or something I'm passionate about. It's really investing in you guys and trying to bring forward some of the trash that's out there. Because I don't want you to spend your, to spend your money and feel like you wasted it. I don't want you to feel like you wasted your time. I really want you to just be able to have someone that has your back. And there's a few other channels out there too, which is great. I'll go ahead and give them a shout out. The Angry Joe Show, Young Yeah, Mr. Matty Plays, Force Gaming, especially for PC, Force Gaming. That's a good one. Oh man, there was another one. Anyway, there are definitely a few. But yeah, they're the ones that I've been doing a lot of my research from. Been hearing what they have to say about certain games that I haven't been able to play. And yeah, go ahead and give them check them out. Hopefully you guys had a good Christmas and you have a good New Year. I know New Year's is literally right around the corner. Go spend some time with some family, some friends and stuff. Go out there and be proactive, right? I was talking to somebody about just goal making, and just take the time to invest in yourself, folks. Don't just sit there and wait for stuff to happen. Don't think you can just burn a whole, season away or a whole quarter of the year away and start something later. Start today. Changes in your life, they take action. And it's time to take that action now. So hopefully you guys are doing good. Hang in there. I know life's tough. It's tough for me too. And we'll see you on the next one.